Merry Christmas to all our viewers and listeners. We are back with another video. This time it's a special video because day after Christmas, Boxing Day test, it's a feast for all our viewers and cricket fans. And all around the world, six teams will be competing, three test matches going on simultaneously. Indians will have to make a strong comeback after that humiliating first match defeat. Sri Lanka will be taking on South Africa and Pakistan will be playing against New Zealand in New Zealand. So Etisham, it's a perfect start to the weekend, to the long weekend ahead. It's going to be a cracker of the next few days.
Absolutely, Abhishek. Boxing Day Test match is always an event, and we now have three Test matches going across the world on different timelines. South Africa will be taking on Sri Lanka in their summer. We have Indians playing against Australians at the MCG, which again is an iconic venue as well as an iconic Test match of an iconic series. And then the all important New Zealand versus Pakistan in the context of World Test Championship that we'll be discussing later in the video. So that's also an important test series starting on 26th of December. So yes, an exciting weekend ahead.
Yes, Etisham. So let's discuss about the first match, which we'll be talking about India versus Australia. Indians find themselves in a very difficult situation coming into the second match. No Virat Kohli, no Mohammad Shami, and Indians have already announced their playing 11, which
Correct.
in which they have made four changes. So your thoughts about this playing 11 and how much of a challenge it will be for the new captain Ajinkya Rahane to
Correct.
motivate his troops.
Yeah, correct, Abhishek. It will be a very big challenge for Ajinkya Rahane, who is standing in for Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli and Mohammad Shami missing out. Well, these are two gun players for us, and both of them missing out with us one down in the series, playing at MCG, where Steve Smith has an average over 100 runs. And we discussed in the last video, he had the average of 84.06 against us Indians. So it does not augur well if you look at the stats. But then again, we have our backs to the wall, and Indians are known to perform well from such situations. So I'm pretty much hopeful. Talking about the changes in the 11, I think with five bowlers playing, Jadeja has been added to the squad in place of Virat Kohli. So they haven't gone for an extra batsman in the absence of Virat Kohli, which is a very aggressive decision that they've taken. Ravindra Jadeja provides that extra bowling option along with Ravichandran Ashwin. And if India win the toss and they bat first and they get to bowl to a decent target on day four or day five with two spinners, it augurs well for the Indians. So I think it's a very aggressive team with Shubman Gill making his debut, Mohammad Siraj making his debut. So the selectors have backed potential over prowess, and that I think is a very aggressive step, and it should augur well for the Indians.
Right, you talked about Ravinder Jadeja and the way he has gone about his batting in the last 18 months or so has been a tremendous revelation for Indian cricket because he already was a very good established bowler, could play that containing job in overseas conditions, but in India he was also the main wrecker in chief along with Ashwin. Now with his strong batting abilities, it is going to be an added advantage for the Indians because Indians, as you know, has a long tail. So they need someone down the order if two or three wickets fall quickly to provide that
Correct.
stability.
You talk about tail. I think we are a batsman short here. They've backed the batsmen who bat in the top six because Pant is replacing Saha, and then, as I mentioned, Jadeja is replacing Kohli. So Pant will be batting at number six, and Jadeja will come in at number seven. So again, from number eight to number 11, we have not so good batsmen. But yes, the selection they've gone with, they've backed specialists, which is the right step. And if everything goes well and we have some luck in our favor, and if we win the toss, and if we get to bowl to a decent target, as I mentioned in the fourth innings, I think we should be very competitive in this match.
Right. So let's talk about the openers first. A lot of chatter around Prithvi Shaw after that first test. A lot of pressure on the captain whether to persist with Prithvi Shaw or to opt for KL Rahul or even Shubman Gill for that matter. But he looked short of confidence and didn't look like learning from his previous mistakes to an incoming ball. So that's why the option of Shubman Gill at the top is very exciting for the Indians.
Correct. But I think it's a good decision. to give him the chance, but Rahul was also an option, and I think given his experience in Australia, Rahul scored 100 in SCG if you remember in 2014, so he knows the pitches there. But they've backed Gill. He has been in good form of late, playing well in the practice games, getting quick runs. I remember he got a quick 60 in the second practice match, and he played some delightful cover drives. So I think he'll be a handful with the new ball against him. And if he gets his opportunity at the top and he gets some luck along with it and plays some good strokes, I think he should get a good score on his debut. And making his debut at MCG is always a big thing for any player, and Gill is very fortunate to do that for India.
And on a Boxing Day.
Yes, if you remember, Mayank Agrawal also made his debut 2 years ago in the same test match. He did very well. He opened the batting, he got a 50 odd, and he has kept his place in the 11. So who knows, if Gill performs well, he might make his spot a permanent one in the 11 going forward, because he's been looked at as the future of Indian cricket.
Right, a lot of potential there with Shubman Gill, and it's all about converting that potential into match-winning performance for the team.
Correct.
So another decision and another brave decision, which I must say, is maybe the possibility of Hanuma Vihari batting at number 4.
Yes. Well, Hanuma Vihari, if you look at the practice games, batted at the top of the order. He came in at 4, got that 100 in the second innings of the practice game, a pink ball practice game that was held at the SCG. So, selectors have backed Hanuma Vihari for a long time now. He has been given a long rope and they see potential in him. Well, he performed really well in the Ranji seasons, which got him selected in the 11 for Indians. He has an average of around 33, batting at number 6 for Indians. Playing 18 innings, he has got 450s and a century. So that is pretty good. If you consider in a stat-wise manner, that's more than a 50 score every 3 innings. So he has done really well at number 6. It gives that opportunity to Hanuma Vihari to show his potential, batting at the top of the order, avoiding the new ball, and batting at the best spot possible for a batsman coming in. And if he scores big, well, he'll cement his spot more over in that 11. So that will be a great opportunity for him. It can be a path-breaking series for Hanuma Vihari, because if he does well at MCG, he'll get 6 innings at number 4 in the rest of the test matches.
Right, right. So we talked about number 1, 2, 4 spot. Now let's talk about the most important position in that Indian lineup. Number 3, Cheteshwar Pujara. Cheteshwar Pujara has to get runs for India and soak out those deliveries and not to expose the relatively inexperienced middle order right at the start.
Correct. And talking about number 3, number 5, Cheteshwar Pujara, Ajinkya Rahane, I don't think there's a question on their position as yet. Pujara did fail in the second innings of the Adelaide Test, but you cannot blame everything on him. He has been the rock for this 11 since a long time now. Last time on the Australian tour, he got 3 of the 500 scored in that series. So he is still the rock of this 11. He'll bat at number 3. We'll hope that he gives a solid foundation for the rest of the batsmen to follow. But then again, we have Rahane at number 5, and with the responsibility of being a captain on his shoulder, I think that should augur well for him to perform relatively well as compared to what he has in Australia of late.
Absolutely. And with Rishabh Pant back in the 11, we are surely going to see some chatter with Tim Payne, Rishabh Pant. Remember that huge mic conversation which went viral after that last series?
Yes. Yeah, apart from the banter, left-handed option along with Jadeja very much needed to this 11, because we lacked the presence of left-handers and the bowlers could hit the permanent spot, which they did in the second innings in Adelaide, getting us allowed for that infamous 36 for 9 we were. So a lefty option is always a good thing for a team, and Pant is very aggressive. We all know that. We know what he did when the score was set in SCG and the batsman had set and laid a platform for him. So if we find ourselves in such a position, Pant is a very good batsman to be used to capitalize on the situation and get some quick runs, which would be very helpful for us if we are to set a target for Australians to chase or to accumulate our lead.
And not just in those situations, Sham, also the fact that when 2 or 3 quick wickets fall early, he can take the attack back to the opposition and upset the bowler's rhythm. The way he approaches his innings is going to be very exciting in Australia.
Well, with his performances in 2018, he did not get even a single digit score once. So he did really well in Australia in four of the test matches that were held in 2018. So, yes, Rishabh Pant is again an exciting option. Just we'll have to see how his keeping goes. I hope he does not drop some catches because that will be very crucial. Imagine dropping someone like Steve Smith or someone like Marnus Labuschagne. So I hope that he'll pick his catches. Talking about catches, I am glad that Ravinder Jadeja is back in the 11, and I'm sure that there's one player on the field who will make no mistakes or avoid dropping catches. That will be Ravinder Jadeja, the best fielder in this lineup. And compare it with the Australian fielders, he's still the best. He gives that exciting fielding option as well, along with the overs that he delivers with his left arm spin. So that's again a very crucial spot. He'll be batting at number 7. Well, it'll be very exciting to see what he does, because if the score is pretty good and we have batted till, for example, 70 plus overs, and then if Ravindra Jadeja comes in against a new ball, second new ball, if he plays his strokes or defends how he bats with the tail, because that will be very crucial. Batting at MCG, it's a big ground. He's a quick runner between the wickets, so that will be a good thing for us. And with Ravi Chandran Ashwin to support him at number 8, that's again an exciting option, because Ravi Chandran Ashwin is again a decent enough batsman to survive. And MCG against the red ball will not be as spicy as the pitch in Adelaide against the pink ball. So, yes, but here's one thing, with this 11, if we lose the toss and we field first, then it will be very difficult for us to use those spin options that we have in the 11, because in the first innings at MCG, well, spin is not an option. So a lot of workload will be there on the three quicks that we have, as well as when we ball in the third innings, there will be a lot of pressure on Ravichandran Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja to deliver. So I'm hoping that we win the toss with this 11. If we bat first, it'll augur well in our favor, and we'll be very competitive. I believe that.
Now let's talk about the bowlers. Mohammad Siraj, the young fast bowler from Hyderabad, making his debut. He has been really good with the red ball, though he has gone for runs with the white ball, but he has been a proven performer for his Ranji side as well with the red ball. So he gives that added option, and he also has got a decent pace. He can clock 140 easily. So
Correct.
that will be an added advantage along with his impeccable line and length, which he showed in the practice games.
Yes. But one thing that I'll be looking forward to is what length he delivers at MCG, because I remember Umesh Yadav playing his first test match at MCG in 2011. He got 5 wickets, if you remember. He bowled impeccable lengths, fuller lengths to the opening batsman, and he got a lot of wicket. But what happened later in the series was, uh, considering the Australian pitches, he shortened his length. He bowled those half pitch deliveries. So, as a new bowler, bowling in Melbourne, playing his first match in Australia, he should not get carried away with the bouncy pitches and should go for those fuller deliveries, because those are the one that fetch you wickets. So I'll be very excited to see how Mohammad Siraj performs in this test match.
Right. And one thing which we are going to keep a close eye on will be how Indians wrap up the lower order batsmen of Australia. That has been one area of concern time and again has come back and
Correct.
has not been a good situation because 111 for 7 if we talk about last match, and from 111 to 191 was not so good in the scheme of things. So let's see whether Indians have a plan this time around with how to go about cleaning the tail.
Correct. And there will be a lot of pressure on Jasprit Bumrah, because the two lead bowlers, Ishan Sharma and Mohammad Shami, are absent. These three were the key for our victory in 2018. So Bumrah is the lone warrior at this point of time. Umesh Yadav and Mohammad Siraj are decently good bowlers, but Bumrah will be the lead of this pack. And with his prowess of bowling good Yorkers, it will be an onus on Jasprit Bumrah to clean up the tail, because, as you correctly mentioned, the runs at the end from whichever team, be it our series in South Africa in 2017-18, beat our series in England, Sam Curran scoring those quick runs, and we losing a couple of matches because of that. And even in Adelaide, as you mentioned. So yes, cleaning up the tail is one of the agenda that should be fulfilled if we have to do well in this test match.
Yes, you mentioned Umesh Yadav. He has been around for a lot of time now. He has been around for almost a decade. So he's the most experienced bowler in that bowling lineup. So the responsibility should be shared equally, I feel, along with Jasprit Bumrah, because you can't expect Bumrah to deliver goods every time. It is high time that Umesh Yadav also starts performing and
Correct.
taking those crucial wickets at the top.
Correct. You talked about Umesh Yadav. Well, he did really well in Adelaide in the first innings, but if you watch his lens again in the second innings, he bowled a lot of wide deliveries as well as deliveries on length for batsmen to cut. And Wade used those deliveries really well at the start, got them off to a flyer, chasing only 90 runs. So again, he has to keep his length in check because he wavers a lot. You consider someone like Mohammad Shami or someone like Ishan Sharma, they just keep hitting those good areas. Umesh Yadav is someone who will bowl a very good spell, and then for one of the spells he'll just go haywire and give away a lot of runs. So that should be controlled from his point of view, because now with Ishan Sharma and Mohammad Shami not there, he's certain to play those three test matches. So he should not bother about his place in the 11. He
Hmm.
should only focus on hitting those good areas, bowling consistent spells, and supporting Jasprit Bumrah, as you rightly mentioned. And Mohammad Siraj again is our wild card because Australians, most of the batsmen haven't faced him much. Some who played, for example, Tim Payne, who played in the practice game, know what Mohammad Siraj does. But for most of the others, Mohammad Siraj is a new prospect, and that should be used as a wildcard option. So that again is a good option that us Indians have. Now we've discussed about the Indian 11 in depth and in detail. Looking at the Australian 11, with Warner not recovering yet from his groin injury, that gives them the chance to field the same 11, the winning 11 in Adelaide. So again, we'll have Joe Burns and Marcus Harris opening, the usual middle order, and the deadly pace trio of Cummins, Stark, Hazelwood. They got us 36 for 9, as we all remember. And then their GOAT, greatest of all time, as they call Nathan Lyon, and their ever present and ever performing captain of late, Tim Payne. So Australians again have a very strong 11. What do you have to say about that, Abhishek?
Yes, Joe Burns, we were surprised with his inclusion in the playing 11. In the first innings, he struggled to score runs, got out cheaply. In the second innings, it could have been a little trickier target because when the player is terribly out of form, even those small targets of 90 can give a huge headache. It's an opportunity, obviously, with less pressure as compared to when you're chasing 200 plus runs. But it was very imperative for Joe Burns to get that 50. And what an important 50 that was. When the team management backs you to come out good and when the whole world is turned against you. So that 50 was very crucial for Joe Burns. If we talk about Matthew Wade, he was backed by the great Shane Warne to play as an opener, which we were very surprised by that comment. Matthew Wade has done really well at the top in that first match. So that gives them a good solid opening combination going into the second test, and along with solidity, confidence, which was lacking in the first test. I'm pretty sure Joe Burns will have that and will carry that into the second test.
Correct.
Talk about Steve Smith. He had a horrible match in the first innings when Ashwin set him up beautifully. He'll be trying to get back to his scoring ways and score hundreds. Both Labuschagne and Steve Smith will try to stitch a important partnership in this Boxing Day. Now, what do you
Yes.
think about Travis Head at the Sham? He didn't get much opportunity in the first innings, but that number five position will be very crucial for Travis Head's point of view and his performance going into the third test.
Yes, Abhishek, Travis had got his opportunity in the first innings. He again got a very good ball and delivery from Ravichandran Ashwin to get out like that. And Ashwin always loves left-handers, so that was not a good thing for. So that again was very tricky for Travis Head coming in at that point of time. Of late, he has performed really well in the past season for Australia, and I don't think his spot is in bother as of now. And if he gets going, he'll get big runs. I know that because he's a very class player after all, and he has made his spot permanent at number 5 for Australians. I would like to talk about the number 3 spot, Marnus Labuschagne. Well, he has been talked about a lot, and he has been compared with the Fab Four or even with Steve Smith. Well, if you see his performances, he got those big hundreds against Pakistan. Well, that's a different attack altogether. Now you are facing one of the top leading world class fast bowling attack, and well, you know what he did in the first innings in Adelaide. He was very uncertain. He forgot all his methods and all his trickeries, and he was all at sea against our fast bowlers. So again, that spot is not as scary as Steve Smith, and Marnus Labuschagne will be eyeing a good performance to again get that mojo back of which he got in the last season, performing really well, getting more than 1,000 runs in the calendar year last year. So again, number 3 spot, Marnus Labuschagne, his performance would be very crucial for the Australians. Steve Smith again is a certainty at number 4. He's after all the number 1 Test batsman in the world, and one bad innings does not mean that you are not a good player. He delivers most of the time, and well at MCG, his favorite hunting ground, he'll be eyeing a big score again.
Atisham, going back to Travis Head's position, it's a very tricky situation for Australians because David Warner, if he comes back into this playing 11, obviously he'll be batting at the top. That will mean if Matthew Wade has a good game, he'll most certainly go back to number 5 or 6. That puts Head's position in a spot of bother, or do you think they'll go with Head into the third match? Obviously, it will depend on the performance of both the players in this second test.
Well, Warner coming back will put a lot of spots into bother. Well, starting from Joe Burns, Matthew Wade, Cameron Green, and Travis Head. One of these four will have to go out in this Australian setup, and again, it will be dependent on the performances of these players. And if Travis Head performs well, he'll keep his spot. And then again, Matthew Wade versus Joe Burns will be the question. And Joe Burns did well in the second innings, got some confidence with that 50. But again, if he fails, then Warner will come back and take that opening spot, and they won't disturb the well set middle order if they are to perform really well. And if Travis Head gets some runs, he'll keep that number 5 spot. At number 6, you have Cameron Green. Well, he has been considered as that bowling all round option who can give a certain runs with the bat. But again, he did not have a good game at Adelaide. He took that very crucial catch of Virat Kohli, yes. But if you consider his bowling performances, he did not get any wickets. Batting, he got off to a decent start, but he gave away his wicket at a very low score. So again, at MCG, all eyes would be on him, and Australia would be looking to reconsider that option if he fails again.
We discussed the Indian 11 in depth and also the Australian team now. So, your expectations of this Boxing Day test, Atisham?
The expectations that I have from the Indian team, first of all, is to perform to the best of their abilities. Well, Adelaide was a dark day, a dark test match for us. But if you are down to the depths, there's only one way, that's up. An Indian team should be thinking that way and eyeing the MCG test match as a way to come back, perform really well, and give it back to the Australians and get one back, draw the series 1-1 going into the next two test matches. That will make an exciting viewing for us viewers as well. And because there's a coveted World Test Championship final coming up next year, and
Right.
Indians need to perform decently well. The score lines we'll be discussing in a very short while of how the situations would turn out to be. But yes, Indians need to perform well and win at least two of the next three test matches. That's what I feel.
Right, Atisham. Let's jump into this World Test Championship qualification scenario and what it means to the Indians if they don't go on to win at least two
Correct.
test matches against Australia, and how much difficult it will be later on. And they'll have to depend on some other results as well to qualify for the finals, which Australia are most certainly going to play.
Correct. So here comes the most exciting part of our discussion, the World Test Championship table and the possible scenarios. Well, we'll be discussing the World Test Championship table with India being the constant. We'll only devise strategies of how India could qualify for the final, which is only for two teams. The top two will qualify directly for the final to be held at Lords from 10th of June 2021 onwards. Well, if we consider the current scenario, you can see the current table of how World Test Championship has panned out till now. There are three main competitors here and contenders as well: Australia, India, and New Zealand. Well, I'll be talking about how India can qualify for the final and what results should go our way if we don't do well in the series against Australia. Well, to start off, I am taking two assumptions here that New Zealand will beat Pakistan in the two test match series that will be starting from 26th of December. So, New Zealand will be winning the test series 2-0. That's assumption number one. The second assumption is the India versus England series will go to India 4-0 because it will be held in India on subcontinent pitches, and India hasn't lost a test series in India on subcontinent pitches since 2012. So I'm assuming that India would beat England 4-0, and that will be assumption number two. Now let's look at the scenarios. Now, what if we lose 4-0? Well, if we lose 4-0, then there's no chance considering this assumptions that we'll be qualifying for the finals, and it will be Australia and New Zealand who will be taking on each other in the finals at Lords from 10th of June 2021. Well, scenario number two. If we lose the series 3-1, well, that makes it really interesting because if that happens, then Australians have a series with South Africa in February, a three test match series. And for us to qualify after losing 3-1 to Australia, we'll have to hope that South Africa beat Australia 3-0 in that test series. That, again, with this current South African team, looks a very difficult prospect. Well, now let's move to a better scenario. If we do 2-2 or better in this Border Gavaskar test series, then we qualify no matter what. And we don't have to worry what other results say because we'll be keeping one of the two spots. And that's our calculations that we did to make out these scenarios. And so it is imperative that India perform really well in the remaining three test matches, get two back at least, keep that spot in our hand, and we don't have to wait for other teams and other results to go our way. Well, there's one more scenario that I would like to talk about. If we beat assumption one, that is, if we cancel it out, and if Pakistan happen to beat New Zealand in one of those test matches, and if they happen to draw the series 1-1 against New Zealand, that will knock New Zealand out of contention, and then we'll have everything in our hands, and we'll qualify for that final. So the only possible hope that we have with us is that we do 2-2 or better in this Border Gavaskar Test series, or we sit back, hope for South Africa to beat Australia 3-0, or hope for Pakistan to beat New Zealand in one of the test matches scheduled from 26th of December. So these are our scenarios, these are our predictions, these are our calculations, and that's why the upcoming three test matches are very important, starting with the one at MCG on Boxing Day.
At the time you threw a lot of numbers. How much time did you spend actually pulling those stats and all the permutations and combinations? Because it's going to be mind-boggling even for the players who are involved in this. So their only job at this stage would be to focus on the game and on the field.
Yes, Abhishek, it took me a few hours, but you know I love numbers and I love to come out with calculations involving permutation and combination. Talking about the players, this should not be in their minds as of now because that is like 7 months away from now. The only focus should be to perform really well in the upcoming three test matches and get two back or even three if for that matter.
And what this World Test Championship format has done has given some context to these bilateral test series. Otherwise, it would have been dead rubbish, or just for the sake of ICC test rankings. So it has given a lot of importance to every test series and test match because remember ICC changed the scoring system. So Atisham, could you please elaborate on the new rule which ICC brought in because of this unfortunate COVID situation?
Correct, Abhishek. PCT is nothing but the percentage of points, which is calculated by the points earned divided by the total points contested. Well, but there's one glitch in this system. For example, Bangladesh missed out on a lot of test match series because of COVID situation, and now they only have one test match series against West Indies. So if they go on to beat West Indies, get a whitewash there, well, they'll bounce up a lot of points because the percentage would be great for them. So there's one bit of glitch, but it was very important for the top teams because then again, out of the contesting 9 teams, only 2 will play the final. So yes, it was a good decision by ICC to bring in PCT.
Yep, so we'll be discussing all those scenarios in detail. We'll be creating a new video where we'll be listing out all the possible combinations and permutations for each team to qualify for the final, and for the teams which will find it impossible to make it to the final. So stay
Correct.
tuned for that video, and I'm pretty sure Etisham is already working on his numbers.
Correct. Just to clarify that in brief, this analysis was only imperative to India. The next video on WTC will be considering all the probabilities, the possibilities, the permutations, the combinations for all the involved teams, be it England, be it South Africa, be it Pakistan, if they have a chance to qualify. We'll be looking at that as well. In this video, we were only discussing about how Indians could qualify for that coveted final. So that was it from our side.
So all the Sri Lankan fans, South African cricket fans or England cricket fans, stay tuned for our next video. I'm pretty sure that will be helpful for you to understand what is the scenario and what is the equation for your favorite teams to qualify for the World Test Championship finals. So thank you so much, Atisham, for explaining to our viewers the exact permutations and how the result should go in favor of India for them to qualify for the finals. So that was really helpful.
Yes, Abhishek. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all of our viewers, our listeners, to show us so much love in the past couple of months, watching our videos, listening to our content. I hope that you're liking the content and the things that we are doing with our videos, with the analysis coming up. We'll get into more of depths with the upcoming videos with our analysis. If you liked our content, please go subscribe, follow us on different podcast channels, be it Spotify, be it Apple. We are everywhere. You name it. So if you like this video, please go ahead, drop a comment, subscribe to our channel, and post a like as well. Thank you.